Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Indeed, lots to look forward to on Manic Monday. Like on the home front, top Zimbabwe doubles tennis player Benjamin Lock celebrated the biggest win of his professional career after combining with American Evan King to win the men's double final at Launceston International in Tasmania, Australia. That story leads in this edition of ZiFM Sport, brought to you right here on ZiFM Stereo by Mike Madoda, Alois Bunjira, me, Barry Manandi, and of course our producer is Sean Tafirenyika.
What else can you expect in international sport? Bangladesh have written perhaps the most glorious chapter in their cricket history after they upstaged favourites and defending champions India to win the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup in a rain-affected final in Potchefstroom, South Africa. In Around the World in 60 will take off in France, where Gaël Monfils won his first title in a year after claiming the Montpellier ATP tournament with a straight sets win over Canada's Vasek Popsicle. In the United States, Kemba Walker scored 27 points to help the Boston Celtics to a 112-111 road win over Oklahoma City Thunder in a game that ended early this morning. And in South Africa, there was derby delight for the Stormers, who grinded out a win over the Bulls, while the Chiefs mounted a stunning comeback to upend the Crusaders in New Zealand. In Six Nations, England endured tough conditions as they bounced back to beat Scotland at a hostile Murrayfield.
And then we will have our play of the day. We have a new artist that we're profiling. Every single week we profile a particular artist, their biggest hit on the biggest show. Then we'll dive into the Polenta Nutri-Active Instant Porridge Sports Trivia, and then it's into the Castle Lager World Football Report, which kicks off in Serie A, where the title race was blown wide open after Juventus' shock loss to Verona and Inter Milan's crucial victory in the Derby della Madonnina. In La Liga, Lionel Messi once again came to the rescue as Barcelona saw off Real Betis 3-2 in a thrilling encounter. And in the Bundesliga, defending champions Bayern Munich remained a point clear of second place Red Bull Leipzig after the two title contenders played out a goalless stalemate.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Right, let's go. Now, top Zimbabwean doubles tennis player Benjamin Lock celebrated the biggest win of his professional career after combining with American Evan King to win the men's doubles final at the Launceston International in Tasmania, Australia yesterday. The Launceston International is Lock's first tournament win on the ATP Challenger Tour, which is the second highest level on men's professional tennis circuit below the top tier, which is the ATP Tour. Lock and his American playing partner were made to fight hard for the win as they rallied from behind to defeat the Belgian Kima Kopjans and his partner Sergio Matos Gornes of Spain 3-6, 6-3, 10-8 in the deciding 10-point tie-breaker. So congratulations to Super Benji, or Tweezer as he's popularly known. It's a good victory for him, and now a step closer to the ATP Tour.
Yeah, absolutely. It will stand him in good stead, but I think in the immediate he's looking at the Davis Cup because his good form, I think, will be a major booster for the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team ahead of their Davis Cup World Group 2 playoff tie against Syria, which will be played, of course, at Harare Sports Club in March. March, and he's one of the key players in that Zimbabwe Davis Cup setup with his young brother Courtney and the likes of Takanyi Garangaga as well as Mehlulu Smanda. So this is ideal preparation. He's competing at a very high level. I know it's not the ATP Tour. He's not mixing it with Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic and players of that ilk, but this is just a rung below, which means that he is one of the best players in the world, certainly on the continent, and up against Syria, we should be able to do the business.
Absolutely, and I think the key, you got to think to yourself, Mike, that we should be good enough in the doubles if the Lock brothers link up, lock together. You see what I did there? But you got to think to yourself that that Davis Cup tie will be decided in the singles, where we've got to deliver.
Yeah, we've got to deliver. I think first up, the first match is always crucial. Get the points on the board and then kick on from there. So I think we shouldn't take our foot off the pedal versus Syria. You take a look at Syria, Barry, from a geopolitical perspective. It's a country in turmoil.
Yep.
It's a country where, to be honest, we're certainly not going to Syria to play tennis there. They're coming here, and that is a good thing for us. So they're going to put forward a team that we are expected to beat and progress to the next round. So I fancy him, and as long as he's playing in these tournaments, Barry, on the Challenger Tour, and he's able to do well and to progress and to win from time to time, it means that Zimbabwe will have the ideal preparations.
Well, he's currently ranked number 296th on the ATP doubles ranking, and performances on Australia. That Tasmania competition he's just won is expected to propel him up the ladder. So Super Benji is on the move, and that means that Zimbabwe is on the move.
Hi, this is Benjamin Locke. I'm on the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Let's give you the rest of your local sports news roundup, starting with rugby. The Paramount Garments Under-20 League resumed at Old Harare Sports Club on Saturday, with Pitbulls underlining their credentials as one of the teams to beat following a 64-4 win over Alex Sports Club to carry on the positive momentum after winning their opening clash last weekend. The win placed Pitbulls at the summit of the standings with 10 points from 2 matches as Alex fell to 4th position. In the ladies section, Harare Sports Club is the team to beat after a 32-5 win over Zimbiru, which saw them making it 2 wins out of 2, while All Georgians beat XP Horns 20-0. In athletics news, veteran long-distance runner Jonathan Chinyoka won the Old Mutual Harare Marathon 42-kilometer men's race in 2 hours, 19 minutes and 34 seconds yesterday. He beat several athletes who turned out for the annual event at All Georgian Sports Club. Chinyoka finished ahead of Prosper Mutwira by almost a minute, while defending champion Linus Muchena finished 3rd in 2 hours, 22 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll wrap it up with volleyball news. The Bulawayo Volleyball Association is set to honor excelling athletes in the year 2019 at an award ceremony to be held next month. Last year, the association had a successful campaign that was capped by the fruitful hosting of the inaugural Beach Volleyball Series. The annual award ceremony was launched in 2018, and the BVA, that's the Bulawayo Volleyball Association, intends to make the event a traditional feature on their calendar.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
About to go international with our sports news, but a reminder that we've got the Polenta Nutri-Active Instant Porridge Daily Sports Trivia, which you can be a part of. How? Send us the hashtag NutriActive. That's hashtag NutriActive to our WhatsApp platform 0731168045. That number again, 0731168045. We just might call you back and you'll be in the running. And also a reminder, we got the beautiful game coming a bit later on in the company of Alois Bunjira, where we'll pick apart the major performances coming out of the major leagues of Europe, Serie A, La Liga, the Bundesliga, as well as the English Premier League. But before we get there, let's give you some cricket news, where Bangladesh have written their name on the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup trophy after a rain-affected 3-wicket win over previous holders India in Potchefstroom. This, of course, happened yesterday in what is their first final in the competition's 22-year career history. The Tigers were far from overawed by the occasion, limiting India to just 170 with the bat, despite Yashasvi Jaiswal's swashbuckling 88. And though for a time it looked as though they would fall short in their chase, a captain's display from Akbar Ali steered home their ship as his unbeaten 43 carried Bangladesh to the target despite rain playing its part. Let's hear from Bangladesh's Prantik Nauroz Nabil, who spoke about how his side often bounced back from pressure situations.
Yeah, it's obviously because we have been a group for the last 2 years, and many of us even played together in the under 15 and under 17 stages. So, 2 years, it might be a short time, but when a team is doing camps and everything, it's like we are living in the same place. Just like it became the family, and our main family became like vacation. So every time, it's been experience, what I must say, that we have handled so many situations. Every game was a learning game for us. Every day, it's like we are facing exams, and every exam it's a new question. Some days it was like we lost early wickets. Some days it was like we got a good start. So we just knew that everyone has a role in this team, and nobody tries to become, like a star. But people do. It's like you can look back and see how Rakib performed. So the plan is always simple within us, and the main strength, I must say, is the belief we have in the other teammate. It's like nobody is there to blame what mistake anyone did. Like it can be a zero. We don't blame the one who is scoring a duck, but we actually highlight the person that day who has done the team job, like someone who has to stand up and say, yeah, today I'm going to lift it for the nation.
The tail of the tape from Potchefstroom in Northwest Province, South Africa. India batting first, 176 from 47.3 overs, well below par. Yashasvi Jaiswal 88. He held the innings together with half of the team's runs. Tilak Varma made 38, and then the bowlers that did the damage for the young Tigers of Bangladesh: Afishek Das 3 for 40, Tanzim Hassan Saqib 2 for 27. In reply, Bangladesh, they looked tentative, they looked nervous, but they eventually got over the line. 170 for 7 from 42.1 overs. In the end, a comfortable victory on the back of Mohammad Parvez Hussain making 47, Akbar Ali 43 not out, and then the pick of the bowlers for India: Ravi Bishnoi 4 for 30, Sushant Mishra 2 for 25. Decent bowling figures, but not good enough for India to stave off the scepter of defeat. Bangladesh under-19s world champions, beating India under-19s by 3 wickets via the DLS method after rain had come down in the Northwest Province. And we marvel, Barry, at this victory. We marvel at how Bangladesh has gone well in this tournament, scoring remarkable victories. And people may be tempted to confine it to the 1 or so month that Bangladesh has spent in South Africa. But this has been a victory long in the making. Bangladesh had a plan.
They certainly did. It wasn't a flash in the pan by any stretch of the imagination. As you quite rightly pointed out, this is something that has been 24 months in coming, and thanks in great part to Khalid Mahmood, of course, who you remember is a former Bangladeshi captain. He's now in charge of their development system. He created this 24-month plan and came up with various elements, and Bunj will love this because he came up with...
Run us through those elements.
The elements that he came up, firstly, he realized the World Cup was going to be held in a different venue to Bangladesh itself. So the team needed more experience away from home. So the BCB arranged lots of tours for them, some of them that are mentioned when he was interviewed by ESPN Cricinfo. England and New Zealand, they went across to areas that they didn't know so that these young boys could learn that. The second was...
You mentioned England and New Zealand, critical because, those are pacey wickets, and obviously pace is what they were going to come up against in South Africa.
100%.
So I like the thinking. You can already see that there was a plan and there was thinking behind it. They weren't just touring for the sake of game time and exposure.
They were touring with the idea in mind that this core group of players who at the time were under 17 were the ones who were going to perform at the World Cup. The second was that core group to keep them together. Keep them together so that they play games together. Let me go back to that interview that I talked about with ESPN Crick Info. Mahmood says this: we played 30 plus games, won 18 of them. We didn't chop and change the squad for the last 2 years. From an under-17 team in 2018, we selected a set of 20 players from where we've picked the 15. Being together, they've matured and learnt their roles in depth. The switch happened last World Cup after realizing that we were losing matches due to our inexperience in key moments.
Yeah,
so
key moments. And that's the thing, isn't it, Barry? At professional sport, that matches are often won and lost in key moments.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you get certain teams that can dominate or seem to dominate a match for long periods, and then another team comes and performs in a crucial phase of the game, and they go on and secure a victory.
Yeah, a team plays for 5 minutes and the rest plays for 85, and the 5-minute playing team is the one that wins the game. And that's because it managed its moments a lot better. So I love the thinking here. So first thing, get the team experience. Second thing, get a core group that stays together. The third thing was that they needed a paradigm shift of how the BCB approached the sport in the past few years, going beyond the traditional cricketing centres in the country. And what did they do? They then created a selection method. So they created, 4 years ago, the BCB made a plan to give the sport an equal footing in all 64 districts of the country. They organised tournaments across 3 levels, under 14, under 16 and under 18, to identify 45 players from each of the group. A total of 135 players were selected, and from that 135 they wheatled it right down to the 15 that then went to the World Cup. These 15 came out of that system. They've done phenomenally well.
Phenomenally well, and I'll say that there are plenty of lessons there to be had for Zimbabwe. It's not about targeting a tournament and wanting to perform at a tournament. It's about putting in place a plan that will see you able to perform well in 3, 4, 5 years' time. And as Barry pointed out, of course, the specifics that are needed to put together a winning squad. Zimbabwe certainly will learn that it can be done to challenge the likes of New Zealand, to challenge the likes of England, India and Australia. It can be done. Bangladesh, a nation that Zimbabwe sniffed, we looked down and we turned our noses up on just 10 or 15 years ago. They now have conquered the world at junior level. This is ZiFM Sport on a Monday. Get in touch with us with your thoughts and views on 0731 168 045. That same platform. You can send us your hashtags if you want to take part in our daily sports trivia, courtesy of NutriActive Instant Porridge. Coming up, we take you around the world in 60 by giving you some international sports news update. But before we get there, Barry Menandi, we got some cricket results.
We do indeed. A quick update of senior cricket during the weekend. New Zealand secured a tense 22-run victory over India in their second one-day international at Eden Park on Saturday to clinch the 3-match series with a game to spare. Chasing 274 to win, India were dismissed for 251 in 48.3 overs, with Tim Southee and debutant Kyle Jamieson impressing. England, in other news, survived a late collapse to seal a 2-wicket win over South Africa in the third one-day international and ensure the series ends all square at 1 apiece. Set 257 to win, Johnny Bairstow got the chase off to a flyer with a blistering 43 from 23 balls, and after a brief wobble, Joe Denley reached his second half century of the series but fell with the finish line in sight. England proceeded to lose 4 wickets for 20 before eventually sneaking over the line in the 44th over.
ZiFM Stereo is untouchable.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Taking off in France, where Gaël Monfils won his first title in a year after claiming the Montpellier ATP tournament with a 7-5, 6-3 straight sets victory over Canada's Vasek Pospisil. The popular 33-year-old, who's world number 9 and was top seed at Montpellier, last won on the tour at Rotterdam last year, but was too good for Pospisil, who is ranked 132. This was a 9th career tournament win for Monfils and his third at Montpellier, where he also won in 2010 and 2014. Across to the United States of America, where Kemba Walker scored 27 points to help the Boston Celtics to a 112-111 road win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. Walker hit a pair of critical 3-pointers late to seal it for Boston. There were also key wins for the LA Lakers over the Golden State Warriors, the Milwaukee Bucks over the Philadelphia 76ers, and the San Antonio Spurs over the Portland Trail Blazers. And here are your weekend rugby results, starting with Super Rugby. The Jaguares beaten in an exciting match by the Hurricanes 26-23. The Stormers 13-0 victors over the Blue Bulls. The Lions beat the Reds 27-20. The Waratahs smashed by the Auckland Blues 32-12 at home. The Chiefs and the Crusaders played a very exciting match, brutal contest, and it ended in favour of the Waikato Chiefs 25-15. The Brumbies upended the Rebels 39-26, and the Highlanders were put to the sword by the Sharks 42-20. In Six Nations action, that is of course in the Northern Hemisphere, France continued with the exciting brand of rugby to beat Italy 35-22. Scotland, in a tough and tense encounter, went down at Murrayfield to England 13-6, and the Irish edged Wales 24-14 at Lansdowne Road.
The Daily Sports Trivia question is brought to you by Perlenta Nutri-Active Instant Porridge. Kickstart your day.
If you're a lover of porridge, well, Polenta has just made it that much easier for you. Simply add warm milk or water to Polenta Nutri-Active Instant Porridge and you're done. You're not waiting with rimbo kwata or anything like that. You're straight in and you enjoy the goodness of healthy, tasty porridge. Now, every day on ZiFM Sport, Polenta Nutri-Active Instant Porridge, we'll be dishing out the Daily Sports Trivia where you can win big.
Okay, and this evening it's the turn of Robert out in Bulawayo. Robert, good evening and welcome to ZiFM Sport.
Thank you very much. How are you guys?
We are great, Robbie. Where in Bulawayo are we speaking to you from?
I'm in Mganwini.
Where?
Mganwini.
Mganwini.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, tell us, what is your favorite local sports team?
Definitely Islanders ngenkani
Yiboso. And tell the likes of Manandians ongafuniyo nje kayekele.
Ongafuniyo ngenkani.
Yeah, kana usingayide siyana nayo. Yeah, nice one. Well, are you ready for your questions?
Definitely, I'm ready.
Okay, the first one now. I hope you've been listening to the show. True or false? Benjamin Locke's Zimbabwe Davis Cup nickname is Twiza. True or false? Benjamin Locke's Zimbabwe Davis Cup nickname is Twiza.
That's false.
He's a very tall man.
Agareba, he's tall. Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance.
All right. That's false. Yeah.
You're insisting it's false.
You're insisting it's false.
I know it's true.
It's true. Okay. We're gonna be nice. I like you because you're a Highlanders fan, so I'm gonna give that one to you. But you have to get this one correct. This one, there are no chances. Okay. So the second question: which team won the Under-19 ICC Cricket World Cup? It's just ended. Which team won it? Is it India? Is it Bangladesh? Or is it Australia?
Bangladesh.
Nice one. Well done, Roberts. Well done. And I just want to ask you for your tip. Which team do you think is going to be crowned champions in the Castle Premier Soccer League this season?
I was hoping Islanders, but I'm thinking Platinum is going to take it again.
You think FC Platinum will make it 4 out of 4?
Yeah.
How about Dynamos? They've bought quite a number of players. You know, King Nadolo, former Highlanders player, is now at Dynamos. That's a good buy. You think Dynamos can challenge?
Surely they can.
Surely they can.
Yeah.
But
they've got a chance, but I think Platinum is still in there.
Platinum is still in there. Well, Robert, thank you so much for tuning in to ZiFM Stereo.
Oh, thank you very much.
Cheers.
The Daily Sports Trivia question was brought to you by Perlenta Nutri-Active Instant Porridge. Kickstart your day. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The Nerazzurri, the Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Velotti has a go!
tremendous hits. That's what he's capable of.
La Viola, the purple ones, Fiorentina.
Franck Ribéry seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the black and whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colorful. The best of Italian football on Z.
Right, today we're kicking off in Italy's Serie A. Internazionale manager Antonio Conte believes everything will depend on Juventus in the Serie A title race, despite Inter moving top of the table with last night's Derby della Madonnina win. A second half comeback saw Internazionale recover from 2-0 down to beat Milan 4-2 in a pulsating derby at San Siro. Marcelo Brozovic, Mattias Vecino, Stefan De Vrij and Romelu Lukaku scored in the second half, moving Inter level on points with Juve, but Conte said the title was not in Inter's hands, with Juve chasing a 9th straight Scudetto.
È un sogno come lo è per noi.
Surely the Scudetto is a dream for us. As well as for Lazio, it can be like that for Atalanta or Roma. We are talking about a championship dominated by one team over the years that fully deserved to win. Today we find ourselves midway upon the journey of our life. I believe there is a bit of a fight. Everything will depend on Juventus. I have heard also some Juventus players saying so. At the same time, they must be ready.
Oh, what a game it was last night. 2-0 down at half-time. Inter, it looked like the old AC Milan was back, but they mounted a stirring comeback, did Internazionale. 2 early goals and AC Milan were reeling. They were on the ropes and they went for the killer punch and they landed it. And Alois, you've got to say that as an advertisement for the Serie A, this was a cracking game of football. In fact, just in general, I've got to say that this past weekend in European football was the most exciting weekend I've come across in a long time.
It was indeed, it was indeed. I think that what crowned it all is the Milan derby. That's what fans they come to watch. They want to see goals. We spoke about it that fans don't applaud you whistling when you are playing 5-20 passes at the back. They want to see you in the attacking third.
Ball hit the back of the net.
Attacking third, yes. And that's what we got from the AC Milan, from the Milan derby. 2-0 down, and they showed that they have got the championship credentials. This is a very difficult fixture in Italy, and they actually came back and they did that. And to score 4 goals past AC Milan, I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, and difficult. Alois calls it was difficult before they had conceded, but they conceded 2.
Yes.
They go to the break 2-0 down, Barry, and it was a show of character that they didn't panic. And they stuck to it, and they were able to come back into the game. Not just come back into the game, win it emphatically at the end.
What do they say? That the second half belongs to the coach, don't they? So I think the kudos needs to go to Antonio Conte. He did phenomenally well. You could even see in even the replacements that he made, you could see that he was adding more impetus to the team. Yeah, AC Milan will say to themselves, they'll feel a little bit hard done by, the Zlatan header or back header or whatever that eventually hit the post or whatever. But if you watch it in isolation, you'll think, AC Milan was still in it. But in truth, that second half belonged to one team, and that team was in black and blue.
But I wouldn't be entirely negative about AC Milan, Alois, because I think from where they are and where they are coming from, I think we can at least speak positively that the future looks bright. There are some pieces there that I think, I thought to myself, there may be 3 or 4 players short of a challenge. But there are certain players that are there now, the likes of Ante Rebic, Kanalonlu, those are really good players that AC Milan can build. Donnarumma, their goalkeeper as well, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So there are pieces there that can use to mount a revival.
Yeah, I can say that, Mike. When you look at that game, of course they fell to an exuberant Inter Milan that came firing. You see the way Inter scored those goals. Those were team goals. Players with energy. They fought. They knew what they wanted. They
experience
knew
as well.
Yes, they knew
big
that
game
this
experience.
Is it. Yes, but for AC Milan, I think they gave it their all. They just succumbed to a team that is fired up. Let's be honest. They're fired up, but you can actually see those glimpses of a team that can actually challenge. They need to tweak here and they bought. They didn't buy wisely 2 years ago. They didn't, but you can now see that they are trying to build a team. bringing Zlatan as well was actually a good
Experience.
thing. He brings in some experience that is needed.
I would hope and I pray that last night that AC Milan learnt from Inter Milan, especially when it comes to recruitment. Because you look at the players that have been brought in by Inter Milan, people are saying that Conte Agunga needs a EPL, but he's brought in quality. I mean, look at Eriksen when he came on that free kick. My God, that was phenomenal.
I actually believe that he's brought in players who he feels he needs now in the title run-in, because in a title run-in, when things are tight, you need experience, you need cool heads, and people were questioning the acquisition of Ashley Young. Ashley Young has not covered himself in glory in the last 2 years in England. His performances for Manchester United were not exactly the best, but the one thing that he has, he's got experience and he knows how to win. He's won trophies with Manchester United. He's a cool head, so he's a player that if you put him in an environment with good players like he's got now at Inter Milan, he's able to perform. Alexis Sanchez, you can tell he's beginning to enjoy his football again, and he's beginning to perform. So that was a good result. And so if you put that result in the context of what happened elsewhere, Verona producing a huge upset by coming from behind to beat Juventus 2-1 on Saturday and inflicting a third defeat of the season on the Italian champions. Lazio also big movers. They moved 1 point behind Juve with a 1-0 win at Parma, setting a new club record of 18 consecutive unbeaten league games in the process. So we are talking about Inter and we're talking about Juve, but very few people are talking about Lazio. They are actually the form team in the league.
Yes, Mike, 18 match unbeaten. And remember, on the 18 matches were like 11, 12, 13 winning straight. Which is actually
including beating
phenomenal.
Juventus.
Yes, this is phenomenal. This is a team that has come a long way, because take away those wins. Where were they at that time? And they have slowly come in, and we have a championship race on our hands. I am happy. And now when you look at the Italian league, it looks for very, very interesting reading.
Yeah, interesting reading, because if you take a look at the top of the standings, Inter Milan are the new log leaders, 54 points. Juve have the same number of points, but they have an inferior goal difference, and Lazio is in third, just 1 point behind both Juve and Internazionale on 53. And then there's a battle for Champions League football between Atalanta in fourth and AS Roma in fifth. Roma with 39 points, Atalanta 3 points to the good with 42 points.
The league that makes football oh so beautiful, where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day, where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic.
It's Lionel Messi!
All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
The goal the world wanted!
Now, Barcelona head coach Quique Setién praised Barcelona's resilience in last night's 3-2 win over Real Betis, but said there is still room for improvement from the La Liga champions. Lionel Messi had a trio of assists as Barcelona kept pace with La Liga leaders Real Madrid in a match that saw both teams finish with 10 players. Let's hear from Quique Setién.
Esta victoria es importantísima porque nos permite estar ahí.
This victory is important as it allows us to be up there and stay in the top positions of the table. This victory provides us with a big boost because a lot of things that we talk about and that we speak about, being consistent, being strong, it's all coming through us. I think we are growing. The other day we produced a very good performance in Bilbao and we should have won. Today there were 2 goals from set pieces, but there were also moves in open play that could have ended in goals. I think little by little we are growing. We'll see as the games go by. We have a bit more time to prepare from now on, and that's important too.
Quique Setién basically saying that there's work to be done, but at least now Barcelona getting the W's that they need, keep pace with Real Madrid, and keep that title race on. We definitely have a title race.
Yeah, it's actually quite good. You know, like we said about the Italian Serie A, we also want that kind of competition in any league in Europe, any league even in Zimbabwe. We want that competitiveness.
Sure.
But Barcelona are keeping that. But I'm not entirely happy with Barcelona. You know, when they play teams like this, they always used to pin these teams, control the game and all. But here we actually praising Real Betis that they were playing well. They were doing it. In the olden days, Barcelona would just get into this game, overwhelm their opponents, 90% ball possession, and make sure that they don't play, because if they don't have the ball, they don't play. So they would keep the ball. But somehow they're letting these teams get into their groove and play.
Mike, will let Bunj have his halcyon moment about, back in the good old days? And that was the Barcelona way, wasn't it? Does the Barcelona way still exist for you?
Oh, yeah, I can see bits and pieces, but I think it would be very difficult to replicate what we saw under Pep Guardiola and with Xavi and Iniesta. With Xavi and Iniesta, we are talking about the all-time greats.
Yeah.
We are talking about the two best players to ever play for Spain. So for us to expect that a young De Jong, who's a teenager, finding his way. I don't think the pieces are there. I think he's going to grow into that role. De Jong, for me, I really like. I believe that De Jong in 2 or 3 years is going to be one of the best players. He's going to be in the top 5 in the world, no doubt. He's a very good player. So I don't think they can replicate that. I think they just need to learn to control games. Alois's point is valid. I don't think they can control it in the manner that they used to in previous years, but they need to exert more control, invite less pressure on themselves, because their defense is not as good, as solid as it used to be under Carlos Puyol and Piqué. They had a really solid partnership, with Dani Alves there as well, and the likes of Eric Abidal. Those were really good defenders. Now I think they need to control the opposition a lot more in order for them to exert themselves. But in Lionel Messi, they got someone who's able to create something. Yesterday, a hat-trick of assists. So he's able to pick his moments, and I think we're seeing the redefinition of Lionel Messi, because he's spending a lot more time now in the middle third than he is in the final third.
He certainly is. Last question to you, Bunj. Would you therefore say, from what Mike's assertion has been, that have the teams in La Liga moved forward, or has Barcelona dropped off?
I think Barcelona has dropped off. Even Real Madrid, they have dropped off. These two, they used to be way ahead of everybody else. We talked about it. We usually have 1 or 2 other teams that periodically come close to them,
but the two are
away.
Far and away.
But they have gone back and they've allowed that gap to be closed by the other teams, and now they're winning close matches. It used to be very, very comfortable wins. Now they're winning, maintaining it, but it's very close these days.
Let's take a look at those key La Liga results, starting with Real Madrid, where Zinedine Zidane wants to see more goals from Isco after the midfielder netted his first for this La Liga season in Real Madrid's 4-1 win over Osasuna. In other news, Diego Simeone hailed Atletico Madrid's improved performance after they ended a 5-game winless streak by beating Granada 1-0, and paid tribute to the club supporters for instilling his players with responsibility.
Horsepower unmatched. Torque to beat the best. Speed unrivaled. Sleek and easy on the eye. Let's get behind the wheel of football engineered to perfection. The Bundesliga, made in Germany.
Over to Germany, where Thomas Müller believes Bayern Munich were not prepared to take enough risks in order to defeat Red Bull Leipzig in yesterday's Bundesliga showdown. The German top flight's top 2 sides clashed at the Allianz Arena, but neither team managed to come out with the spoils in a goalless draw. It was not for lack of trying, with Marcel Sabitzer and Timo Werner missing great chances for the visitors, while Peter Gulaski pulled off a superb save to deny Leon Goretzka late on. Let's hear from Bayern Munich defender Joshua Kimmich, who was disappointed his side failed to find a breakthrough.
I saw us as clear favorites before the game. It was a very good feeling, and that was confirmed in the first half. But I said it last week, if you offer up mistakes to your opponent, then you allow every opponent in the Bundesliga back into the game. And Leipzig has enough quality to create chances from these, but luckily they weren't able to score.
Leipzig not able to score. I think they had probably the better chances in that game versus Bayern Munich. And usually when you're fighting for the title, when you're fighting at the top, it's the matches between yourselves that decide the destiny of the championship. And Leipzig here, I think if they really had serious designs and serious intentions on winning the title, this is a game that they were supposed to win.
Yeah, what's it we always say that you need a bit of experience to win a league title, and I think that Leipzig last night showed that they
lack the experience.
They lack the experience.
They should have bought Ashley Young.
You can't, exactly. you can't have profligacy in front of goal. You can't. Especially in Germany, where you've got an efficient unit like Bayern Munich, they're never going to let you off the hook. And getting this result, I think it's advantage Bayern Munich because they can kick on. Leipzig now will be asking themselves questions, and it's a bit of a dent in their confidence.
Yeah, dent in their confidence, and VAR coming to their rescue as well. I think Leipzig will be happy about VAR, Alois, because Lewandowski was actually awarded a penalty, but VAR decided otherwise. So it's a game that, to be honest, fine margins could have decided this one.
Yeah, they were rescued. Yes, in under normal circumstances, without VAR, that could have been a penalty, and they could have they could have gone down. But well done to VAR. I don't like VAR, but but
this time he made the correct decision.
Not just correct decision, but it saved me as well. I don't want Bayern Munich to win the league.
You want a different winner in the Bundesliga.
Yes,
well,
exactly.
in another result, and for me, this was the match of the weekend. Bayer Leverkusen scored twice in 2 minutes to complete a thrilling comeback as they beat Borussia Dortmund 4-3 on Saturday, denying their visitors a chance to go second in the Bundesliga. What a game this one. What a game. It had absolutely everything. The net result, Bayern Munich leading the way in Germany, 43 points. Red Bull Leipzig, they have 42 points and they are in second. Borussia Dortmund have got 39, so they are 4 points off the top. They are in third, and then Borussia Mönchengladbach are on 39 points as well, but with an inferior goal difference. They occupy the fourth and final Champions League spot.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Now, Manchester City's Premier League fixture against West Ham was postponed yesterday due to extreme weather conditions associated with Storm Kiara, they're calling it. We call it Ciara. The extreme weather also saw the Women's Six Nations tie between Scotland and England, scheduled to take place in Glasgow, called off with high wind speeds hitting the city. In other Premier League matches played, Sheffield United's charge towards the Champions League places gathered momentum as a 2-1 win over Bournemouth took them to within 2 points of Chelsea in fourth. In the second half own goal by Adrian Mariappa handed Brighton a deserved point against Watford, with the relegation-threatened sides playing out a 1-1 draw. And then Everton maintained their recent good form as they overcame struggling Crystal Palace 3-1 at Goodison Park on Saturday lunchtime to move up to seventh in the Premier League. I want to talk about Sheffield United. Bunj, my God, what a job Chris Wilder has done with basically nothing. And you got to think to yourself that Dean Smith at Aston Villa got all the money, all the resources, and he's failed to bring that team together. But Chris Wilder has brought something out of nothing.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm sure that there is so much pass in Sheffield. They are loving what is happening there. And, like you're saying, nothing, no one. You asked to pick Sheffield Wednesday top player, you start struggling. Who can I pick now? But they are doing well. Aston Villa has a lot of money. So that's why you see that sometimes it's not about the players who brought up. You remember we spoke about it in the car park the other day. When I said, you can bring two good players together that are brilliant, but they won't give you the results of the lesser known or less about players
who have a combination.
Who have got a good combination. So what he has done now, he has brought in good combination amongst the players that we might think that they are not as brilliant, but with that combination they are performing well. So I'm enjoying it. Sometimes when you see an heralded team doing well, coming in to get crushed, it's always nice.
Always nice, and we've got a good combination in the studio. It'll come back together for you tomorrow. Don't miss the show. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.